What's going on? Dimitri here. In this video, I'm going to do a full breakdown of Kyrie Irving's shooting form. And I mean full. This one's a doozy, because Kyrie's form has a couple very unique aspects to it that I'm excited to share with you. While he's most known for his ball handling and finishing abilities, Kyrie has also put up elite shooting numbers throughout his career. I'm going to break down each piece of his jump shot for you here in this one, so you can see exactly what's made him such a successful shooter. These are all the mechanics that make up the shooting form of Kyrie Irving. Alright, let's dive in. Let's start off with Kyrie's footwork and his stance. As for his footwork, a couple things. The majority of Kyrie's shots come off the 1-2 step. And then, while I still consider this 1-2, a lot of the time he'll use real quick, short steps to get into his shot. Or he'll just sort of tap that right foot down. Something I've seen Steph Curry do as well. Another thing I noticed, when shooting off the dribble going left, sometimes Kyrie with his last two steps will go right foot, left foot, shot. But then other times he'll go right, left, right, shot. So while the majority of the time he uses the 1-2 step, or a variation of it, Kyrie does also mix in the hop. And he loves to go step back to his left, pushing off his right foot. Okay, as for Kyrie's stance when he shoots. When shooting balanced shots, Kyrie has a wide stance. His feet are wider than shoulder distance apart. There's some variation on this from shot to shot, but for the most part, Kyrie has both his feet out wider than his shoulders, which is why his knees cave in like this. He also tends to lean forward on his shot, mostly on catch and shoot shots. The other part of Kyrie's stance is which direction he points his feet. At the start of his shot, Kyrie's feet are pointed to the left. This turns his whole body to the left, aligning his shooting shoulder with the basket. See how everything is facing to his left? Except his head. His head is facing the basket. The rest of his body is clearly not. By turning to the left, his shooting shoulder is now further ahead than his left shoulder, aligning it with the basket and making it so he's not shooting across his body. Last thing, Kyrie also has his right foot ahead of his left foot, or slightly closer to the basket than his left. And this goes hand in hand with the shooting shoulder. Shooting foot forward, shooting shoulder forward. Next up, how Kyrie holds the basketball. Let's start with where he places his hands. Kyrie's got his shooting hand shaded over to the right side of the ball when he first starts his shot. But by the time he's about to release his shot, his hand is going to be under and more in the middle of the ball, which is ideal. And his fingers on his shooting hand are spread. His guide hand, when he first starts his shot, is to the side of the ball, but shaded down a bit. So that as he gets close to his release, it's still to the side, but now his guide hand is towards the top of the ball, with his fingers curling over the top. I'll show you later how he removes his guide hand from the ball before he shoots. Alright, as for his grip, Kyrie has a relaxed grip. He's not actively squeezing the ball or anything. And he's got the ball resting in his palm. And then this is where it gets interesting. Couple things. First, check out what he does with his thumbs. Kyrie doesn't grip the ball with either thumb to start his shot. Look at his shooting hand here first. His thumb is flexed back. Again, shooting hand thumb is off the ball. And now look at his thumb on his guide hand. Same thing. I'll move it forward a bit. Guide hand thumb flexed back, not touching the ball. I'm going to play this forward. It kind of looks to me like he's putting his shooting hand thumb back on the ball. Watch it, it's quick. Here it is again. Actually, from this angle here, you can see the thumb back on the ball. And then the guide hand thumb again. And this one he does keep off the ball for the entire shot. This is his thumb on his guide hand here, and it's still off the ball right before he's getting ready to release here. Alright, the other interesting thing I noticed, check this out. Look at his pinky here on his shooting hand. It's not making contact with the ball. Pinky is on the ball, and now it comes off the ball as he gets ready to flick his wrist. Pinky is on the ball here at the start of his shot. Watch it come off. There. Here's a couple other looks at it. And with no pause, watch the pinky come off. There is another shooter who does this exact same thing, Damian Lillard. Both players with the ball on their palms, both players with their pinkies off the ball. Alright, that is Kyrie's hand placement and how he grips the ball. Alright, moving on. Kyrie's shot pocket, gather, and lift path. Here's Kyrie's shot pocket, or where he brings the ball to begin his shot after catching a pass, right before he starts to dip the ball and then raise it into the air. There's going to be some variation to this based on the situation, but overall, Kyrie tends to bring the ball to either waist height or a little below his waist before he starts to dip it and raise it up. Here's how I'm determining his shot pocket. From the catch, watch how he brings the ball to his waist. The ball is going to follow this path here. And then from here, on the very next frame, the ball is going to start traveling out and down. Out and down. This is the start of his dip, and then he's going to raise the ball up to his set point. So back to right before his dip, right here. This is his shot pocket on this particular shot. A little higher with the shot pocket here on this one, but same thing. From here, the ball is going to travel outwards and down as he dips it and then raises it up to his set point. Watch the subtle downwards motion, it's quick. Kyrie doesn't really dip it that much. And this is his lift path. It's the path of the ball from his shot pocket to his set point. So Kyrie's shot pocket is usually waist height or a little lower than his waist, and it's also over to his left. Ball to the left, and also both elbows are relaxed. So yeah, Kyrie likes to start his shot from the left side of his body. And when shooting off the dribble, Kyrie gathers the ball around waist height as well. The next part of Kyrie Irving's shooting form that I'm going to break down is his set point. Your set point is that transition point in your shot when you're done raising the ball into the air and you're about to start actually shooting the ball towards the basket. He raises the ball up, quick pause, and now he begins to shoot. This is his set point. What I look at with the set point is where is the ball located? And then also, what's the form look like when at this part of the jumper? So first I'll show you the location of Kyrie's set point, and then I'll show you his form. On his regular jump shot, Kyrie has a low set point. The ball doesn't clear his head. He brings it to around forehead height. The bottom of the ball is in line with his eyes and nose, and he brings the ball really close to his face. Check this one out. Ball is about forehead height, but look how close that is to his face. And Kyrie's set point is shaded over to the right side of his head. This puts the ball directly in front of his right eye. So at his set point, his view out of his right eye is obstructed. But then as his shot progresses, the view clears up a bit. Here's the view from the other side. And then when shooting contested shots in the mid-range, Kyrie raises his set point up higher so he can get his shot off. See how the ball is above his head at his set point here? Alright, that was where Kyrie brings the ball to when he reaches his set point. Now I'm going to show you his form as he reaches this part of his jumper. I'll start with his shooting elbow. On his regular shot, at his set point, Kyrie's shooting elbow is just about parallel with the ground. When he elevates his set point in the mid-range, his elbow points up more, which, to raise the ball up higher, your elbow's going to go with it. Back to his regular shot. At his set point, Kyrie's upper arm and elbow are parallel with the ground. His forearm is flexed back pretty far since he holds the ball so close to his face. And his wrist is flexed back far enough so that his hand is pointing up and back. Doing all this creates these angles here. Kyrie starts his shot with his wrist already slightly flexed back. And then as he raises the ball to his set point, he bends it back even more. Slightly bent back. Fully bent back. The other thing I look at when it comes to the shooting elbow at the set point is which direction is it facing. The reason I look at this is because I believe the easiest way to shoot is by having your elbow face the basket at some point during your shot. And I believe the earlier your elbow faces the basket, like at your set point, the easier it is to shoot straight. Easier that way, but clearly it's still possible to be an elite shooter even if your elbow doesn't face the basket until your release. For Kyrie at his set point, his shooting elbow is facing to the left of the basket. This is a little past his set point, so you can see it better, but his head is facing to the basket to his right. His upper arm and elbow are not facing that same direction. They're facing left. Here it is from the other angle. Upper arm and elbow are facing to Kyrie's left. His forearm and wrist are slightly tilted over to his left. Not by much, but this angles his shooting hand over to his left a bit too. So his hand is facing up and back a bit, and it's also facing to his left just a tad. And then his guide hand, like I mentioned earlier, is over to the side, but shaded towards that top left part of the ball now, so that his fingers curl over the top. So this is Kyrie's form and the location of the ball at his set point. The next part of Kyrie's shooting form is his release. Alright, check this out. Remember last section how I mentioned that at his set point, Kyrie's shooting elbow is facing to his left. Well, watch what happens as he extends his shooting arm to shoot the ball. Watch his elbow. You see it? His elbow is snapping to his left. His upper arm and elbow are now facing even more left than before. Watch the elbow here. But at the same time, his lower arm, his forearm, and his wrist snap to the right towards the basket. Watch his forearm and wrist here. Look at this. Upper arm and elbow goes left, while lower arm, aka his forearm and wrist, and his hand, go right towards the basket. When I first saw this, I sat there trying to replicate this, trying to figure out how is this possible, and well, my arm does not move that way. And then I realized, you know what? I think Kyrie might be double jointed. I think his elbow is double jointed. That's the only explanation I can think of for this. His elbow is facing left. His forearm and wrist are facing right. Have y'all seen this before? That's a first for me. Okay, besides all this, Kyrie is fully extending, fully locking out his shooting arm on his release. And this is how high his elbow generally finishes, up at the top of his head, which the higher your elbow finishes, the more arc you're going to get. Bare minimum, you want to be at least as high as your eyes, which Kyrie is easily clearing. This can obviously change based on the situation. Here's a shot where he had to shoot it up high over the defender. Look how high his elbow finishes on this one. Okay, as for his release itself, a couple things. Right before he starts to snap his wrist, Kyrie's shooting hand is now under and more in the middle of the ball. This makes his shooting hand face straight up now. Remember earlier how at his set point it was facing up and to the left? But as his shot progresses, it ultimately ends up right here. Which, to me, is the ideal position you want your shooting hand to be in before you release. I believe having your hand in the middle and under the ball and facing straight up helps you get good arc and makes it easier to shoot straight. Okay, from here, Kyrie's gonna snap his wrist to shoot. And remember how he takes his pinky off the ball. From here to here, he takes his pinky off the ball. So now, with his pinky out of the equation, Kyrie is going to snap his wrist and shoot with his pointer, middle, and ring fingers. Watch those three fingers shoot the ball here. Watch his pinky now. Watch how it goes right past the ball. It's not involved. It doesn't push the ball at all. Pinky off, pointer, middle, and ring fingers shoot the ball. Okay, and then on his follow-through, Kyrie's fingers finish curled and facing down, and his palm faces down. That was Kyrie's shooting hand on his release. Let's look at his guide hand now. Another pretty unique thing Kyrie does with his form is how he removes his guide hand. As he begins to release the ball, Kyrie rotates his guide hand so that the palm on that hand faces forward. His guide hand goes from facing towards the right, facing the ball, to facing forward towards the basket. Now, here's the big thing, the thumb flick. As his guide hand rotates, Kyrie flicks his thumb forward. See that? So the million-dollar question is Kyrie actually flicking the ball? We can all agree he's flicking his thumb, but is his thumb actually making contact with the ball and influencing his shot in any way? Man, I don't know. I spent a lot of time on this and I went back and forth a few times. I don't think his thumb is actually hitting the ball, but there is an argument to be made for both sides. So I'll show you everything I'm looking at and I'll let you be the judge. Based on this clip here, I think his thumb is swiping past the ball. Same with this one. Not to mention, like I showed you earlier, Kyrie's thumb on his guide hand is already off the ball. It's not gripping the ball as he shoots, so it could be swiping right past the ball. Same with this clip. It looks to me like his thumb is going right by the ball and not making contact. But then there's the rotation of the ball on Kyrie's shots. Watch the rotation. The ball turns clockwise as it spins. It's got this down and to the right action. Let me show you from another angle. See how this seam is just about parallel with the ground right now? So what's going to happen is the right side is going to start angling down. Keep your eye on this same seam I have highlighted right now. See that? The right side of that seam is now angled downwards. For Kyrie's thumb to be causing this, he'd have to be flicking his thumb up in this direction. Which, is he? I mean, there's a slight upward motion here before it goes across. Is it enough to cause this rotation? I'm not sure. Maybe. You could also argue that it's not his thumb causing this rotation, but the continuation of his shooting hand tilt. Going back to right before the thumb flick, his shooting hand is facing up and to the left at this point. And as he progresses towards his release, Kyrie's shooting hand is going to continue to tilt to his right, so that his shooting hand faces up right before his release. Hand is facing straight up, seams are closer to parallel with the ground than before. Here's the angle from before, and now it's like this. So this tilting to the right motion could be transferring through to his release and causing this down and right rotation of the ball. Or it could be a combination of some or all of these things I just mentioned. If I had to pick a side, I'm on team no contact with the ball, based on this look here. But again, I'm just not 100% definite on it, so I don't want to lead you wrong. I figured I'd just show you everything I'm seeing on both sides of the argument and let you decide. So yeah, what do you think? Is his thumb actually flicking the ball or no? Alright, last part of Kyrie's release, his eyes. This one's a little more obvious. After he shoots, Kyrie keeps his eyes on the basket. He doesn't lift his eyes to follow the ball or anything. Next up, legs. When shooting on-balance shots, Kyrie jumps towards the basket. And as he jumps, he kicks his legs forward. And then, if his body is not turned as far left as he'd like before he shoots, Kyrie will rotate to his left in midair. The other thing I want to show you with Kyrie's legs is the timing of his knee bend and jump in relation to the rest of his shot and his release. From the catch, Kyrie starts to bend his knees. This is the point where his knees are most bent. If I move forward a bit, you'll see his legs start to extend now. So Kyrie bends his knees as he dips the ball and starts raising it up to his set point. And his knees are most bent when the ball is around shoulder height. From here, he's going to start extending his legs and jumping off the ground. So Kyrie starts to jump before he reaches his set point. Legs are fully extended now, and now the ball is at his set point. From here, he's going to continue to elevate as he releases his shot. This is not something that Kyrie is actively thinking about while shooting, but the timing of it all contributes to the unique look of Kyrie's shooting form, and also the rhythm of his shot. Alright, last thing with Kyrie's jump shot, how fast he shoots it. I'm going to time Kyrie shooting a few threes, and then I'll let you know how it compares with other shooters I've done this for. Okay, so I'm going to start the timer when Kyrie has the ball at his shot pocket. This is the start of his shot, right before he starts to dip the ball and then raise it into the air. I'm going to stop the timer the moment the ball is completely clear from his hands. Okay, from here, he's going to start dipping the ball. Here we go. Just about half a second. Here's another one. 0.51. This is obviously going to vary from shot to shot, but I just wanted to give you an idea of around how fast Kyrie shoots the ball. For comparison, I had Steph at 0.57 and 0.49 on a couple of his, and SGA at 0.66 and 0.51. His footwork and his shooting stance, how he holds the ball, his shot pocket, lift path, set point, release, legs, and release time. These are all the different pieces that make up the shooting form of Kyrie Irving. Hey, thanks so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed it and learned something along the way. If you like this one, definitely check out some of my other shooting form breakdown videos, which I'll link to in the description. Alright, that's going to do it for this one. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.